Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar, and in this video we are going to be talking about more news for Age of Sigmar and in specifically for the Soulblight Gravelords. So what we'll be doing is we'll go over 3 articles we've got that came out this week for the Soulblight Gravelords. The first one is all about your bloodlines, the second one is rules for your blood knights, and the third one is going to be 5 reasons to pledge yourself to Manfred von Carstien. Now the only one of these articles I've read is the Blood Knight one that came out I believe yesterday, and I haven't read the other 2, including the first one we'll go over, all about the lore and the bloodline, so I'm very interested in reading that for myself. What I'd be interested to know as well is your guys' thoughts when we go through this. As always, when I do these like reviews and the news and stuff we get, I always do ask for your guys' thoughts, and I think it's just generally quite interesting to hear what your guys think, because like I say, my thoughts aren't superior or anything like that, but as a avid keen death player, I definitely have strong opinions when it comes to this army. And I just want to quickly say why I haven't done like a video every day when these news articles come out like I usually do, and that's just because it got to a bit where there's been so much news for Warhammer Age of Sigmar lately, especially with Warhammer Fest week last week, that if I did a video like every day for these news as well, you wouldn't get any normal videos from me for a while, like why play videos or how to start collecting videos or anything like that. They wouldn't be coming for a long time, because it looks like there's going to be a article for Soulblight Gravelords every day this week because it's coming up to their pre-order. So that's why I thought let's put 3 articles in one video and see how we do. Hopefully it won't go for too long, but you know what I'm like, and I do tend to ramble on, especially how this is all just going to be one straight recording. So let us see what happens. But if you do enjoy the video, if you could smash that like button any point in the video, that would be fantastic. Okay, so what it says is all of the vampiric bloodlines are noble, but only one has wolf paws. Interesting fact. And it says if you caught yesterday's Sunday preview, so that's talking about the pre-orders and stuff that was going up, you will know that the first wave of Soulblight Gravelords is up for pre-order this weekend. We'll be kicking the lid off the I can't pronounce that. Kicking the lid off something to take a closer look at them all week long, presumably coffin. So we got obviously a nice picture here, and you just get a better scale of the Mother of Nightmares. So you see like a zombie's obviously like the size of a normal human, but in Age of Sigmar, like you probably are better comparing things to something like a Secretary, which I know is like a lot bigger, but just the scale of things in Age of Sigmar can be not really the scale, but just like there's lots of big models. So you can see it compared to a Secretary. It's probably what, about 2.5 Secretaries tall, maybe 3. But yeah, still, I'm a big fan of this model, like I've already talked about before. It says, not only are the new models disturbingly tempting, but the Battletome, includes 5 vampiric bloodlines, each with its own culture and style of warfare. A few of them are getting more attention later this week, so consider this a tantalizing taste. So this is a lovely bit of artwork here. So we have Nagash presumably at the top, or is that just a bloodline that's loyal to Nagash? Maybe you've got a Neferata here. I feel like Manfred's at the same level as Neferata, but like, is that Manfred's symbol? I don't know. I know that's Neferata's symbol. That doesn't scream Manfred to me, unless one of you guys know. I feel like Manfred would be something like that, with a more like vampiric part, like with the bat wings or something. But we've got Radikar here, obviously, and that looks like the blood dragon sort of thing we've got here. So yeah, I really like that bit of artwork. That's really cool. So it says, what do all vampires have in common? So if there's one thing you really ought to know about these vampires, it's that they're pretty much all exceptionally strong wizards. Most of the vampire dynasties can ultimately trace their lineage back to Nagash, so naturally, or is that unnaturally? Their focus is on the dark art of necromancy, because the first vampire was Neferata, because basically when Nagash made his like elixir, if you will, just to dumb down the lore a lot back in the old world to sort of live forever and become the monster he is now, Neferata refined it to try and take out the looking like a massive skeleton monster type thing, and then created a elixir that turned you into a vampire. And then it says, when you're an immortal being suffused with potent death magic, learning to summon the dead is an appropriate hobby to take up, especially if you want to grow your undead horde. Soulblight Gravelords earn their name by raising massive armies of the dead to fight alongside them. So you've got Endless Legion here, which sounds like it's going to be quite a generic ability. So at the start of your Battleshock phase, count the number of enemy units that were destroyed during that turn, and roll a dice adding the number of destroyed units to the roll. On a 5+, you can pick one friendly Soulblight Gravelord summonable Dead Walkers or Soulblight Gravelord summonable Death Rattle units in your army. So just Dead Walkers, as long as it's going to stay the same keywords, just so you know that is summonable, so it'll be your zombies, your direwolves, and when it comes to Death Rattle, that could be anything from Skeleton Warriors, the Graveguard, to Black Knights in terms of a summonable unit. But again, new battle tome, so things could change. But it says, well, you pick one of those units that has been destroyed. If you do so, a new replacement unit with half the number of models in that unit that was destroyed, rounding up, is added to your army. Set up that unit wholly within 12 inches of a gravesite and more than 9 inches from all enemy models. All enemy units. So that's interesting. That's like the first bit that I've heard. Again, I know that this came up a couple of days ago, so you guys may already be aware. That's the first bit that I've heard, though, where grave sites are still going to be a thing, because it's a shame like we didn't get a model and stuff for grave sites, but I presume they're still just going to be like a point on the battlefield, and that's why I use a token, which means that, you know, like a foxy Lumineth person can't just come over and destroy it, which is good, I suppose. But new models would have been awesome. And when it is half the amount of a unit, I think that's good, because I'm not saying that like it's still being abused to the point these days in the meta. I haven't really seen too much of it, to be honest, so I doubt it. But when Legion of Nagash first came out and people just were bringing back units of Greengrass Reapers here, right, and centre, basically, it was quite frustrating to go against. So half a unit seems to be fair, comparing what they're there's been other abilities like that. I think the was it the foxy lady man type thing for Lumineth Realm Lords has got something like that, but I know this is basically like the Loon Shrine from the Gloomspite Gits. So yeah, I haven't got a problem with that. I think that's quite good. Again, you might be quite limited depending on what's summonable, because it has to be Dead Walkers or Death Rattle and not just summonable units, so we'll see. It says, these corpses are driven by the will of the Necromancer, and those closest to the vampiric lords are even harder to put back down. So deathless minions. So roll a dice each time you allocate a wound, a mortal wound, to a friendly Soulblight Gravelords unit wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Soulblight Gravelord hero or a gravesite. On a 6+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. Now, I was going into this, reading the start, and I was like, right, okay, this is worse than what Legion of Nagash is right now, because you have to be wholly within 12 inches, not just within 6, which is better. But you can be wholly within 12 of a gravesite. That's great. Like, literally, yeah, big fan of that. Again, you know, it's only the 6+ save, but you're not always relying on your heroes to do it. And if your grave sites can't be targeted to be destroyed or anything like that, that's pretty nice. That is useful. It's worth the trade of being wholly within 12 rather than within 6, in my honest opinion. And just to say what I was saying about bringing back like half summonable unit and stuff, I mean, you're not spending a command point to do it either, so that's good. But it is at the end of the Battleshock phase, so it might not be, you know, it might not be going into your turn, shall we say. So if it's going into your opponent's turn and you just brought back a summonable unit, could be a problem because you're not going to be able to do much with it. But anything that allows you to bring units back into the game, especially heading towards late game where you're down on the amount of units you have in your army to try and take and hold multiple objectives, is definitely going to be good. But it says, so going back to this ability about the Deathless Minions, it says, notice the mention of grave sites there. At the beginning of battle, you can designate 2 spots on the battlefield to mark sources of plentiful corpses. Okay, so it's not as good as I thought, because grave sites at the moment are 4 you get. So you can, at the moment, it's 2 you put in your territory and 2 you put anywhere on the board. So like, I always had 1 on the back of my board so I could use it to bring units back, and then I'd have probably 2 in the middle, maybe 3 in the middle, and then I would have, if I put 2 in the middle, I would then have the last one just at the back of the enemy's territory, just in case I wanted to make like a pop shot of trying to teleport something through it, or basically not teleport, but either raise back something through it, or when I do a deep strike through it, something like that. But anyway, so it says, and if all the magical might wasn't enough, Soulblight Wizards can double cast spells if luck is on their side. There's loads of information here. I'm really annoyed I didn't cover this on the Sunday, and they released this article annoyingly just after the pre-order one. So we've all done it at the same time, and I would have been able to do it. But anyway, it says Locus or Shyish. Okay, so we know this if it hasn't changed. So if the unmodified cast and roll for a friendly Soulblight Gravelord Wizard, again, so it's not Legion of Nagash or Death Wizard, or however it's worded in Legions of Nagash. But anyway, so Soulblight Wizard, attempting casting a spell from the lore of the Death Mages or the lore of the Vampires, practically the same then as what is in Legions of Nagash, is a 9+, and that spell is not unbound. After the effects of that spell have been resolved, you can immediately resolve the effects of that spell for a second time. So like I said, it hasn't changed because it's unmodified, but I think that's still a really, really good ability, especially if you get off in like Legions of Nagash and stuff. You got off like 2 times D6 mortal wounds, or 2 times healing, or double the movement, or making someone -2 to like hidden, -2 to bravery, or -2 to the attacks, and like charging 1d6, something like that. Just trying to remember the spells that you had. Oh, Special Grasp was a good one to try and half enemy movement as well. Like just being able to do it twice was great. I mean, the big thing as well when they did their first article about this, I'm glad they haven't done it this time around, was like, and like you can do it on a 9+, and here's loads of ways to get pluses to your casting. And then like within I think a day they realised that was broken, so they just deleted their article and redid it a new one, and saying it had to be unmodified because otherwise, you know, Nagash was +3 standard, isn't he? That's a lovely bit of artwork we'll get to in a moment. But it says, all in all, the Soulblight Gravelords make up a resilient army that will frustrate your opponent. That's great. Let's find out how the various legions and dynasties mix up the formula. So the cursed bloodlines. So each dynasty or legion of vampires has developed its own characteristics over time, shaped by their leaders' customs and desires. They all have their own preferred methods of warfare. So Legion of the Night, the Trap Layers. So is it just called... Oh, I'll read on. But is it just like the same name? Just the Legion of the Night from Legion of Nagash. They just... It's not the von Carstien or something like that. But okay. So Manfred von Carstien's endless pursuit for power has made his vampiric vassals ambitious and arrogant. The Legion of Night prefers to use hordes of the undead to slow the enemy down and act as bait, while powerful vampires sweep in to claim glory once they sense an easy kill. I mean, definitely confirms that, you know, Soulblight Gravelords, Legions of Nagash, 0.2, which I was saying from the start, that's what I thought it would be. So when some people I saw in the comments were worried, going like, oh, there's barely any, you know, units in Soulblight Gravelords, and they're mainly all heroes and stuff. Obviously, a lot of these Legions of Nagash models are being, you know, transferred over to Soulblight Gravelords, and I did a video on it, so you can watch that. That is an amazing bit of artwork there. That's great. I love the Manfred von Carstien model. It's how I've posed mine as well. I did it quite differently to how you get it in the box. So with his Dread Abyssal and stuff, a Shigaroth, and it's definitely the best one I'm happy with, like how I've modelled and stuff. So I have lots of love for Manfred von Carstien, but unfortunately haven't been able to use him too much in games lately because, well, I say lately, I mean for quite a while, because he's not very good in the game. He kind of, I'm not going to do a pun there, but I was going to say he sucked, but I don't want to turn it into the Warhammer Community team. However, I really hope his rules do get somewhat better, shall we say, so I can start taking him more. It's a great you know, you're not going to get a better opportunity after this for his rules to be good. I presume when we get to the 5 reasons to pledge yourself to Manfred's Legion of Night, presumably that's what that is, we'll see some rules for him, and then I can give a better opinion on it. But it says they're the sneakiest of the 5 bloodlines, and Manfred and his Dread Abyssal, a Shigaroth, even have a nasty habit of leaping out of combat, only to reappear somewhere else entirely. So he can teleport around. That's pretty cool. Is that a Legion of Night thing? We'll find out. And then you've got my personal queen, which is going to be the Legion of Blood because it's the classy one, as it's Neferata, which is my favourite character in all of Age of Sigmar. So Neferata is the Mortarch of Blood. She thinks of herself as the queen of all vampires and maintains an incredibly complex network of spies, while Neferata prefers political manipulation to threaten of outright violence. Her Legion of Blood is no stranger to warfare. So basically, although she really likes spy and espionage and stuff, that her Legion is no stranger to when it actually comes to getting down to a fight, which is really cool. This is definitely like the one I'm going to want to try out the most. Like, as I said, Manfred's my favourite model that I've done out of the 3 Mortarchs, but that's also because he was the last one I worked on, and Manfred. Neferata was the first one. There was probably about a 3-year gap in between working on one from the other. So Neferata I wasn't as confident with. So it's basically just straight out of the box how it looks. But you've got the Jacq.l dynasty, something like that. The Blood Knight one, basically. The knightly orders. So the Jacq.l, however it is, are the most warlike and martial-minded of the vampire dynasties. These vampires reside in the Crimson Keep. Yes, that's to do with Prince Mahordre and stuff. A magical castle that has a tendency to translate from place to place. They have a strong preference for mounted warriors, all the better for catching up to the fortresses, which when they get left behind, okay, yeah, so they'll get dropped off, charge out, fight the enemy, but then their castle could just teleport somewhere else, which definitely reminds me of what's it called, Castlevania, I think it is, from Netflix series show. Like Count Dracula has like a castle that can teleport. It's really cool. But you've got the Lords of the Crimson Keep. So the Lord of the Crimson Keep is Prince Mahordre. The Fist of Nagash. Really wish you got a model unique to him in this release. I think that was a big thing they missed GW, because they would have sold it as well. But it says, this mighty vampire leads his knights to war from the front, or more accurately from above on his zombie dragon. The well-drilled Jacq.l cavalry values feats of skill and strength in combat, and they become even stronger as the blood begins to flow. So basically they can heal and stuff. I think that's what it's referring to. We'll find out in the next article, but I think that's what I remember from reading it. So yeah, like I say, I wish they did a Prince Mahordre separate model, but they didn't. Just basically don't give the normal Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon a helmet, and if you have given him a helmet, doesn't matter. But yeah, it'll be a cool one. It'll be interesting to see how that's really going to play in the whole teleporting around, because there was a battalion for it, but it wasn't that great in Legions of Nagash. So hopefully it'll make it a bit better. And then you've got basically the new one with all the beasties, which is going to be the Avengori, I think it was, Avengori, something like that, dynasty. The Nightmare Brood. So you see we've got things like Terrorgeist, we've got bats up here, so fell bats, bat swarms maybe later. Of course the Vargeist, and this might be like a slightly tweaking the lore of a Vargeist and stuff for this to make it all fit the Mother of Nightmares. I really like that artwork as well. It's great. And then you've got the story for it. So the Avengori are gruesome horrors that have willingly abandoned the pretense of humanity, making their homes in underground lairs in the realm of beasts. Yeah, so like their laws change straight away for those Vargeist, because they generally don't willingly turn into that. But it says they seek out the largest and most worthy brutes and gur to feed on. Ultimately, their armies are little more than rampaging packs of monstrous undead creatures. Not only are the Avengori twisted in body, but their mind also becomes increasingly deranged over time. Other bloodlines see them as a debased, but they know they're just a hair's breadth away from becoming just like them. Yeah, but well, it's kind of like the normal vampire sort of like look at them in like disgust of like what they've became, but then it's like, oh, if you're not careful, you end up like them. But it said that these ones willingly chose that path, so I don't understand the reference. But anyway, if you like armies, because the reason I say that is just because this is implying the old lore still there for Vargheists and everything else. And then this is implying that Vargheists choose to be Vargheists, which is a different story. But it says, if you like armies full of massive fiends, so basically if you like to play Gristlegore, like the incredible Luca Vey, we recently revealed during Warhammer Fest, so this model that's split a lot of opinions of people. Like I say, I like it, but I understand why some people don't. Where was I? Yeah, they recently revealed you can't go wrong with this Legion. They're even able to take Terrorgeists and Zombie Dragons as battle line. Sounds very much like Gristlegore as battle line units, so feel free to imagine the look on your opponent's face. So if you've got a Gristlegore, Flesh Eater Court army, you only need to buy this book and a few extra models and stuff, and you're probably sorted. So yeah, that's cool. I imagine Vargheists are going to be battle line, hopefully. That would be cool as well. And then we have the Virkos, I think it was, dynasty. So the Wolf Pack, so Radikar the Wolf and all that. And this unusual dynasty has developed a distinct culture. The legends say their Soulblight curse cannot be traced back to Nagash, but rather to a god beast, which would explain the strange nature of their affiliation. Of their connection to the totemic animal spirits, chief among them is the aspect of the wolf. The connection manifests in the lupine features that can be found on their warriors and their ability to command packs of direwolves. So if you love direwolves, this is the one for you. Don't really like this model, but I do love direwolves, so it is going to be a split for me. So it says the Matriarch of Bloodline, Belamander Volgar, makes no effort to suppress her animal core, her lupine legs proudly on display. Rumour has it that her hulking mount, Rothback, was once one of the Matriarch's ill-fated suitors. If riding to battle brandishing a apologies about the mispronunciation of words. I don't know what's going on with me, but fuck it. Why can't they just use simple words? Anyway, a top performer. Fuck. Basically, she rides a massive wolf. She has a sword that looks shit, and it looks just like the one out of what Radikar had out of Cursed City. They could have put more effort in. She looks too top heavy. The wolf looks awesome. So the bloke who has turned into a wolf, which very much sounds like the is it the Wolfkin from Space Wolves? Is that kind of the vibe there, like the Pharisian rules and stuff? I think they can end up turning into them. Sounds like they've just copy and pasted that here. I haven't got a problem with that. Don't like her and don't like all of this words. So, is that it? Okay, let's try reading this paragraph. So, on the tabletop, the variety of Virkos heroes, including Radikar the Beast and Belander Volgar, all count as generals if taken in a Virkos army. That makes them a great option for players who like strong support from leaders and wizards. Completely depends on how good their war scrolls are for that, because if they're all named characters, then you're not going to be taking many artifacts and command traits. So it says check back all in a few weeks, blah blah blah. Yeah, we'll get to. We don't need to read saying keep up to date on news, because we have got more news to go to. So this is going to be the Blood Knight article we're going to read through now. So this is purely about Blood Knight, so it should be a bit of a short one. That did feel quite a long article, to be fair. So this is all about Blood Knights. This is the one I have read through. I read through it yesterday, but obviously I can't remember everything, so we'll go through it again and I'll let you know my guys' thoughts. So it says, with the Soulblight Gravelords up for pre-order this Saturday, it's time to talk about one of the very best units in their battle tome. We've already explored the lore of the Blood Knights, and I've done a video on that as well, but today we're casting our dread gaze over their war scrolls. So, if we're honest, being immortal certainly has its perks. If you had unlimited time to hone your martial skill, on top of having superhuman speed and strength, you'd probably be pretty good in a scrap too. Let's break down the war scroll bit by bit to see why you need Blood Knights in your army. So, from what we can see here, it's got a 10-inch movement, which isn't bad. Well, it's not the fastest for cavalry. I was going to say it, but it's not the slowest. 10-inch movement for cavalry may be the slowest. But what we really do like here is the 3+ save. That's really nice. We like that. It's got Bravery 10, and then they've got 3 wounds. And then for the melee weapons, we've got the Templar Lance or Blade, which is a 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, 1 damage. And then the Hooves and Tees, which is 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage. I mean, not the worst horse attacker, sure, but, you know, I was expecting it to be a bit cooler because those, you know, mounts are awesome. What I'm actually going to do now as well, I didn't plan this, but I'm going to get up the Blood Knights from the Legion of the Gash Battle Tome just to see how much has changed over time. So, well, where is... Should have got this up before, but that's okay. Blood Knights, Blood Knights, Blood Knights, Blood Knights. Cool. So, yeah, so just want to compare things. So they have got a 3+ save now, obviously. So they used to have a 4+ save, so that's definitely good. Their wounds have stayed the same. Their movement stayed the same. The bravery stayed the same. Their Templar Lance or Blade has stayed the same, because I was almost going to go, because I'm not hugely familiar with Blood Knights, I haven't really used them much. I was going to go, you know, it's again being lazy, going you can't have 2 different weapon options. You just mix them all. It doesn't matter if you give it a sword or a lance. But they did that before anyway, so that's fair enough then. But the Nightmare Hooves and Teeths has actually lost the word nightmare, but has actually gained 1 extra attack in their new profile, so that's good. That's useful. But it says, with the perfect balance of speed and hitting power, even small units of this elite vampiric cavalry are sure to prove their worth in blood. Their distinctive heavy plate armour and barding grant them fantastic protection, and while 3 wounds and a whopping 10 bravery ensures they're still in the saddle when it's time to get stuck in. I mean, if you're, you know, talking about a death army, you make bravery 10 as long as you're not chain gas, like chain rust hordes. You can't really boast of bravery 10. Everything has it in this army. But the 3+ save, like I said, is very nice because it's so heavily armoured, aren't they? Like, how could you say that didn't have a 3+ save? But it says, while the choice of weapon in the kit is cosmetic, you'll probably want more than 1 unit of Blood Knights because they want your money by the time you finish reading this article. The option in the box guarantees that they are all still looking unique because you can give them a sword or a lance, which I know that sounds small, but again, I said it with the skeletons and the zombies. It can make a difference, so that's fair enough. And I think well, I don't know if you do get extra heads, but you could swap the heads and stuff around. So it says, for a bit more on the rules, it's a unit of Blood Knights has any number of models and each armed with a Templar Lance or Blade. Bear in mind that's just for open player. Narrative play, it will be distinctly, I don't know, minimum size 5, maximum size 20, roughly what it will be in actually match play. So it says to mount this unit's nightmare attacks with its hooves and teeth. The champion 1 model in this unit can be a Castellan. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of a Castellan's Templar's Lance or Blade. Then you got the Standard Bearer, which means 1 in every 5 models in this unit can be a Standard Bearer. You can reroll 1s for Deathless Minion battle traits, so you know the death save on a 6, for this unit while it has any Standard Bearers. That's interesting. So it may just be unique to the Blood Knights, right? It may just be Blood Knights who have this with their Standard Bearer, but if this is going to replace what normal Death Standard Bearers do, which since Legion of the Gash basically make the enemy -1 to their bravery, which was alright, you know, you could stack it and everything in the army could work well, but like we said, bravery at the moment is not too much of a big thing, but it may change in 3rd edition. Well, yet to wait and see on that one. But yeah, rerolling 1s is nice because you're doing it on a 6, you've got those grave sites now you can try. And I'm just thinking, like, you've only got 2 now on the board, but you can obviously just try and get those extra saves off because you're rerolling 1s, you've got a 3-up save, and you've got that 6 of after. It's not bad. Obviously not as good as when Blood Knights first came out, where they had to just return 1 model to the unit, which was great, but that was a long time ago. So it says every unit gets 1 champion, no matter their size. 1 unit can include up to 15 Blood Knights. Yeah, okay, so you can have like minimum 5, maximum 15 then, by the looks of things. And you can take more than 1 Standard Bearer as a bit of insurance. So 1 every 5, presumably. Yeah, so 1 every 5, isn't it? If nothing else, all those pennants streaming behind them will look very intimidating. Yeah, it also is an amazing banner. I really, really do like it. Hopefully you can repose the arm a little bit just so they don't all match, but I suppose it would look beautiful. They all line up matching anyway, to be honest. It says their heavy nightmare steeds bulk at nothing but block. Don't even know what it is. Trampling over all but the largest of enemies when Biden have an fucking hell. I'll read that from the beginning, shall I? So it says their heavy nightmare steeds bulk at nothing, trampling over all but the largest of enemies when Biden have an opponent that likes to hide the juicy targets behind cheap screens. Units, they might as well not bother. Okay, because that is a very big tactic in Age of Sigmar. Let's see what they mean by that. So, Riders of Ruin. If in your movement phase, if this unit is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, it can make a normal move. If it does so, it can pass across other units with a wound characteristic of 3 or less that do not have a mount, in the same manner as a model that can fly. After this unit has made a normal move, roll a dice for each enemy unit that has any models passed across by this unit, and on a 2-up it takes D3 mortal wounds. So that's nice for doing the mortal wounds anyway, because like you might as well just move over. But it makes a normal move, so if this unit is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, it can make a normal move, but it doesn't say if you have to finish more than 3 inches away from the enemy unit, or just 3 inches away from enemy units to be outside of combat, or this is basically like a normal move, piling move, that you can do in your hero phase. Instead of piling 3 inches normally in combat, you can actually pile in like 10 inches, be down to pile into the closest model because it's a normal move, and you can fly over, and then you do some mortal wounds. I think that needs a little bit of clarification. If I'm the only one and you completely understand what it is, please explain for me and anyone else who's thinking what I'm thinking down below in the comments. But I feel like that could definitely be worded better. 100%. I mean, maybe it'll say something here, but I don't know because it's going on something else. Yeah, no, I don't think that's worded very well, but I think it's a good ability. Like, I like it. Like when I was saying like, oh, that's a big tactic screen and stuff. Is this actually going to fix it? Yeah, it sounds like it will, because you can just fly over, which is basically how you kind of beat screening to a point, depending on how big the screens are. But yeah, again, I want that a bit clarified a bit. But how it is at the moment, it's really good, and then it's a little bit like it doesn't really. I don't really understand how you're fully like. If you have to finish within 3 inches of that enemy unit, or still be, if you have to finish basically still being in combat, or if you can use it as like a retreat to get away from combat, but then does that mean that you can charge later on because it wasn't a retreat? It was just it was just a normal move. So can you use it to retreat and then charge something? There's not. Yeah. Again, I want more information on how that works. But anyway, so Riders of Ruin makes Blood Knights ideal harassment units, striking at safe targets and disrupting your opponent's plans. They hit extra hard every time they charge, allowing you to chew your way through the foe's battle formations with devastating strike in each successive turn. So Martial Fury, add 1 to the damage characteristics of the unit's Templar's Lances or Blades if the unit made a charge move in the same turn. Just looking at the old rules, I think it turned to D3 damage and not +1. So what you've got here is now your damage 2 basically on the charge with your Blood Knight weapons, essentially the swords and the lances, compared to D3 of what it was before. Now, I always say that I think 2 is better than D3 because it's just reliable. D3 sounds great. You're going to roll a bunch of 5 and 6s, which obviously a D3 it turns into 3s. 3 damage, that's great. Yeah, you'll roll a bunch of 1s and it'll be really disappointing. So I do prefer this. I think it's a better ability. And then it says, if the enemy general decides to divert resources to take out your Blood Knights, they'll need to commit considerable effort to do so. Like all vampires, they can heal themselves every turn as long as they're making kills. That is, so the hunger. At the end of the combat phase, if any enemy models were slain by wounds inflicted by this unit, attacks in that phase, you can heal up to D3 wounds dedicated to it. Okay, so that's nice. Again, like a model, this unit can only take 1 or 2 damage before it loses a model. So you're only at most healing 1 or 2 wounds, but it's still good. And it's interesting how that's called the Hunger because I'm just trying to see if it's got... Yeah, so the Hunger for Blood Knights in Legion of Nagash is you just healed 1 wound. And that's also the same when we look at things like Vampire Lords and stuff that healed 1 wound. They slayed enemy model, caused wounds, whatever it was. So now maybe the Vampire Lords will heal D3 wounds as well. Like anything with a Hunger ability is now D3 instead of just 1, which is nice. Could be. So it says, these versatile heavy cavalry units deserve a place at the forefront of every Soulblight Gravelords army. If mounted soldiers are very much your thing, consider taking an all-cavalry army. Enter the Castile. So that's, you know, the one we talked about before, about Blood Knights. And then it says, Blood Knights of the Castile dynasty. So, the most warlike of all the bloodlines, the Castile garrison and the Crimson Keep, a mighty fortress that disappears and reforms at the dawn of each new day. This unpredictably means your force can strike from any angle, even behind enemy lines. So, the Shifting Keep. Instead of setting up a Castile Dynasty, a Blood Knights unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say it is set up in ambush as a reserve unit. You can set up 1 reserve unit in ambush for each unit you have already set up on the table. At the end of any of your movement phases, you can set up 1 or more of these units on the battlefield, wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 9 inches away from all enemy units. At the start of the 4th battle round, reserve units that are still in ambush are destroyed. So that's always something to remember. You've got until turn 4 basically to get them onto the table. I'll just read what this says quickly. So because of their need for mobility combined with their knightly bearing, Castile armies are often entirely mounted since they can take Blood Knights as a battle line. So there's no excuse not to load up on them. So yeah, you just take loads of them. So just to say here though is so when it comes to deep striking and teleportation, it's really, really good in the game. Like I said, if your army doesn't have a way to deep strike or teleport or summon, doesn't mean they can't win a game, because clearly there are armies out there that do very well without those tactics. But a lot of armies that do fairly well consistently have tactics like that to be able to teleport and summon and everything else and deep strike. But the Blood Knights, they're not that fast unless there's some other way for them to be able to move after they've like came onto the board edge, or they can charge, 3d6. You're coming onto the board edge. It didn't say what the Hornblower does, does it? Because the Hornblower currently allows them to always charge 6 inches. So that's not 6 inches plus your 2d6 roll for charging, but it allows them to, basically if they're within 6 inches of the enemy, they've got the charge for about an inch to roll. So unless the Hornblower changes, which I wouldn't be surprised if it does, because the standard bearer ability has changed, you bring them on from a board edge, and if they don't make the charge, or you don't get the double turn, the enemy's just going to turn around and deal with them. And again, like, it could be a distraction technique, but these guys could be really expensive points. Like that's what makes it hard to review War Scrolls before you got the points. It's because you can too easily go, oh, this thing's crap, or this thing's amazing, this thing's broken, and then you see the points and you go, oh, I'm never paying that many points for it. Or the thing that you said was crap, so, oh, actually, for that many points, it's actually pretty good. So you can't have too much judgment, but I'm doing the best I can. But it says, so we got this, which, almost, to be fair, that looks like a hero, like a vampire lord on a nightmare or something, but that's just one of the Blood Knights, which just shows how awesome this kit is. It says, if your opponent decides to leave your Blood Knights to their own devices, they'll soon come to regret it as their vampiric powers swell. Okay, that's interesting. So, Might of the Crimson Keep. Each time a friendly Castile Dynasty vampire unit destroys an enemy unit, that friendly unit gains the relevant ability below for the rest of the battle. A unit cannot gain the same ability more than once per battle. So the first one, if the enemy unit was a hero or monster, you get the Bloodied Strength. So add 1 to the damage characteristic of many weapons used by that unit, excluding mount. Oh, bugger. I thought that, if that was the mount as well. I'm sure the mount would be eating up the blood. It should benefit from it, but that's cool. I really, really like things like this that just change in game. Like one of my favourite rules in all of Age of Sigmar is like the Mega Boss rule where it gets like strength from victory. So I love it that Blood Knights have got things like that. Or just Castell Dynasty Vampires have got it. That's really, really cool. That's awesome, yeah. Because that should also be like Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragons and stuff as well. So then the next one you've got is if the enemy unit had a wound characteristic of 3 or more and was not a hero or monster, you get Stolen Vitality. So add 1 to the wound characteristic of that unit. So now that means that, well, you've got your Vampire Lords now with, if currently at the moment they've got 5 wounds, so they go up to 6 wounds, let's say, or Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragons go up to 15 wounds, whatever. These guys going up to 4 wounds a pot. That's really good. Sorry, is it destroy an enemy unit? Or is it just kill model? Unit destroys. Okay, so you have to yeah. So I was thinking like if you charge a group of Moser Guard or something like that and you kill one of them, do you get all of this? Or do you get, that ability there, the Stolen Vitality? No, you do have to wipe out the unit, but it means you take advantage of MSU like Ogre Mortri builds and stuff. That's really cool. And then it says, if the enemy unit had a win characteristic of 2 or less, absorb speed. Add 2 to the run and charge rolls for that unit. So that's good. Obviously, pretty much sorted against anything then, really. So you got your hero monsters, your big guys. So you got your like monstrous infantry or something like that, or cavalry with the 3 or more wounds. And then you've got your, your infantry with the 1 or 2 wounds. So you're pretty much covered there, which is nice because some of these things when you read them are just like, if it was a hero monster, it's like, well, that's not always going to happen in every game. So it's nice that they should be getting at least one of these abilities in the game, hopefully. And I was looking at, add 2 of the charge rolls. That could be good when they come onto the board, but no. Obviously, to do this, presumably they've already came onto the board to be able to attack. So they're not, then again, deep striking, unless there's another ability somewhere that I've missed. But it's not on this article. And it says, while the Castell certainly make the most of them, any of the 5 vampire dynasties can put the Blood Knights to good use. They're definitely an auto-include in Soulblight Gravelords army for their power and utility. The fact that they happen to look amazing is just an added bonus. The kit goes up for pre-order this Saturday alongside the Battle Tome and loads of other vampiric goodies. Firstly, for more, check out every day for new articles that will be coming up. So, yeah, again, there's only 2 more to come up. So there'll be one tomorrow for Thursday and then one on Friday as well, which I'll try and cover best I can. But no, so Blood Knights sound pretty cool. So obviously they get a hell of a lot more bonuses when they put in the Castell, how it is pronounced, dynasty. But the problem with that is that then does that mean that Blood Knights are just pointed, presumably, as if they were going in that dynasty? So when you look at other dynasties or bloodlines or whatever they're called, just sub-allegiances, are you really going to take Blood Knights because they're pointed as if they had all of this? And as if they were battle line and everything else. So then it may make it a bit hard. Like their point may be they're good value for this, but if you take them in another sub-allegiance, they're not worth their points and you take other stuff. Which, again, even if that is the case, at least you have one sub-allegiance that really focuses on them. So they're not just left to the side, I think. And I believe they were like £39.50 or something when we did the price review. So not too expensive for GW prices. Right. And then the last one. So again, this video, it's taking a little bit of time, but that's like 3 articles. Maybe I won't do 3 articles. It's another video at some point soon. But again, like I said, if I did a video every day with the news, I wouldn't be uploading any of my normal videos. And this will just purely be a news channel, which I realise like a third of my content is pretty much all news these days. But there's just so much cool news to talk about, isn't there? And when it's about Soulblight Gravelords, I am going to talk about it a hell of a lot. So this is 5 reasons to pledge yourself. 5 reasons to pledge your allegiance to Manfred von Carstien. And something I do want to say as well is it's nice that they've put von Carstien in there, and not just like Manfred, the Mortarch of Night or something. They are bringing back the his names. That's got a lot of history, so I'm glad they are doing that. So it says, the Soulblight Gravelords Battletome is up for pre... Okay, we don't need to read this. Oh, it is slightly different to the last opening text, so I will read it. So, the Soulblight Gravelords Battletome is up for pre-order on Saturday, and there are plenty of vampiric dynasties to choose from. However, only one of them affords you the advancement of opportunities of the Legion of Night. Today we'll explain why serving Manfred is far better for you than other weedier bloodlines. So, the Mortarch of Night is canny and is willing to do whatever it takes to succeed, including setting aside petty grievances, if only the same could be said for Neferata and the others. We combined through the Legion. We went through the Legions of Night recruitment materials, and they had a lot of good things to say. Here are the top 5 reasons to throw in your lot with Manfred. And I think Manfred's quite split the community, and people who like him and people who don't like him. Like I said, I think he's a great chap, very reliable. If you want to listen to some like Black Library stuff on things that he's like in Age of Sigmar, go listen to the first audio drama that came out for Age of Sigmar that had Manfred and a bunch of Stormcast going through Shaiish, and Manfred 100% does definitely not betray them. It's a great book to like listen to or read. It says, you'll always have plenty of support. Eternity can be lonely, but when you're surrounded by the very finest necromancers, new friends are easy to make, as long as you're not too picky, i.e. all these zombies. I do think when you look at this, that corpse cart hasn't held up too badly compared to new zombies, so like I didn't feel like they needed to replace it, and yeah, it stands well, I think, to be fair, so that's good. So it says, why not make the most of your units of undead hordes by making them hard to put down? Your enemy will have to work extra hard to take them out, buying you the time to get your best vampiric units into play. So this ability, I'll read through it, but it's similar to the one that's in Legions of Nagash for Legion of Night, and it's called the Bait. Just a great name, right? Because he's baiting all these guys because Manfred doesn't care about them at all. So his better units can go in and do more stuff. So the Bait. So add 1 to the save rolls for attacks that target friendly Legions of Night, Death Rattle and friendly Legions of the Guide, Deadwalkers units in the first battle round. Okay. So how it was before is, it wasn't the first battle round, wasn't limited to that, but it was limited to your own territory. Which, you can say which one you would prefer. Like, I would say, like, if it was in your own territory, that's better, but the battle plans are different. Sometimes your territory is really small, it's not always half the board. And then the other things, if you want to try and do some alpha striking with your dead walkers and your death rattle, obviously you'd be outside of your territory, wouldn't you? So then you would still benefit from the +1 to save. But what this does mean is it just means that basically when enemies try to alpha charge you or shoot you off and all that sort of thing, they're going to have a bit of a tougher time, but they're probably not going to want to shoot your death rattle and dead walker zombies. But it's still +1 to save. So it says, of course you'll want your vampires ready to pounce when the time is right. When the time is right, as long as it's not turn 1, basically. Would it surprise you to learn Manfred has a plan just for that? What have you got then for us, Manfred? So you'll stay 1 step ahead. So why fight harder when you can fight smarter? You're better than the hot-headed Castile, always charging right into danger. When you're lucky enough to learn from the greatest tactical mind under Nagash himself, Catacross then, presumably, you'll never be caught wrong-footed. No, it's Manfred. Holding back up to half your army is a risky tool to use, but it makes the Legion of Night highly reactive, adapting well to the battlefield conditions, plus it's safer to keep some distance until you're ready. So, first one you've got is Ageless Cunning. And what it does is, instead of setting up a Legion of Night unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say it's set up in ambush as a reserve unit. You can set up 1 reserve unit in ambush for each unit you have already set up on the battlefield. At the end of your movement phases, lot of stuff to read through. At the end of any of your movement phases, You can set up one or more of these units on the battlefield wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 9 inches from all enemy units at the start of the 4th battle round. Reserve units that are still in ambush are destroyed. Okay, so you have like until the 4th battle round as usual. So this is what it was like Legion of Nagash, but it's better because in Legion of Nagash you can have up to 3 units in the set up an ambush. And this but can be half. You're probably going on average, don't know for the Soulblight Gravelords, but for most armies have, I don't know, 8 to 10 units probably roughly. 8 to 12 maybe. So you'll probably have like 4 units at least set up in ambush if you want to, which is outright better than it was before. So yeah, it's alright again. Oh, follow me. It's one of those things, isn't it, where, like I said with the Blood Knights, like, it sounds cool, but they're not getting any pluses to the charge or anything like that. So the biggest thing that I used this for was like Morgasts Harbingers, because then they can charge 3d6. So they, on average, they made that 9-inch charge, so they managed to get in and do their work. It was reliable. And sometimes they did a Terrorgeist as well, just to try and make the enemy worry where the hell is a Terrorgeist coming onto the battlefield. So yes, I do feel like it's good, but for certain units mainly. So then it says Legion of Night Armies can take ferocious Vargheist as battle line units. Okay, so Vargheist going to this article that I was talking about earlier. Where are we? When I was like, oh, it's going to be all about Vargheist in this one. In the Avangori dynasty. Turns out not. It will be Manfred's one to make it basically the same as what it's like in Legion of Nagash. So Legion of Night armies can take the ferocious Vargheist as battle line units, allowing you to build highly mobile armies that can threaten the entire battlefield. Their Mortarch also, treats them better than the filthy Avangori. Okay, yeah, so they've made the comparison. They are great artwork here. Nothing new or anything. This has been around for ages, but great. That Empire soldier deserved what he's got coming to him. But yeah, that's cool. Hopefully he'll make him better, because it just for what does it say? Combined with the other rules to modify how you set up your army, you'll run roughshod over your enemy's best laid plans with a bag of tricks to keep them guessing. Okay, so that's it. I hope there's more, because I'm not really blown away with what they've shown us so far. It feels very much just like a slightly improved version of Legions of Nagash, Legion of Night, which is still good. But again, it's like reading a battle tome. This isn't it? Whatever battle tome you read, they make that army sound like the best, including the Beast of Chaos one and the Sylvaneth one. And what I will say is, I hope that they get like some extra rules, either just as an updated War Scroll in Soulblight Gravelords or in Legions of Night, because I like Vargheist, but I really like them. They just never seem to work well. Like, I think I've ran them probably over 10 times, and I think 1 or 2 times they did well. They just they're just too squishy, or they just didn't kill enough. Like, they just felt a bit underwhelming for someone who really likes them. So hopefully they'll be better this time round, and that'll be good, because like, one way they try to make it better in Legion of Nagash is every legion had like a battalion, and all the battalions bar one of them were pretty goddamn awful, and the battalion that had the Vargheist in wasn't very good as well. And that's like their angle they went with the legion. So I almost was basically saying to myself that Soulblight Gravelords, Legion of Nagash didn't have any battalions in that book, apart from Arcane's one was all right. The other ones, I tried Death March a lot, and it didn't work at all. But it says, number 3, there are boundless opportunities for advancement. So Manfred appreciates a go-getter more than most, and there's always a place for those with ambition, confidence, and great attitude. He helps those who help themselves, so don't hesitate to take advantage of every opportunity for self-advancement. So you have above suspicion. So if this general is set up in ambush using the Aegis Cunning battle trait, above at the end of your movement phase, you can set up this general anywhere on the battlefield, more than 9 inches away from all enemy units, instead of wholly within 6 inches of the board edge. I like that. That's good. I think that is going to be a command trait then. Did it say it's command? let's see what it says here. You have plenty of time to learn new tactics and schemes in your turn on death. Of course, there are plenty of ways to keep you from getting bored, which leads us to the next perk. Yes, I presume that's a command trait. Because there was a command trait in Legion of Nagash, Legion of Night, that allowed you to set up your general as well as one of the 3 units in ambush. So I reckon that's what it is. But it says number 4. So enjoy exclusive swag and rewards. So while you're expected to work delegating, Manfred knows a satisfied vampire is a more productive vampire. He's generous enough to share a fraction of his fabulous wealth with a grateful vassal. So each dynasty has access to their own artifacts of power. Legion of Night heroes can plunder the vaults of Carstien. So as one of the highest ranking and longest serving of all of Nagash's Mortarchs, he has amassed an inviolable collection of potent, so a very good collection of potent artifacts. So you've got the gem of again, my dyslexia's hit me in full force during this video and I don't even know what that is, but you get a gem basically, presumably a good one. Let's see what it's going to do. Once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer and roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 to 5, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, and on a 6, that unit suffers D6 mortal wounds. Once per battle at the start of the... That's fucking shit. Why are they even wasting time? I mean, within 6... You could argue. No, that's shit. Fuck it. I don't like it. Terrible. Show us something good. Right. Take away reason number fucking 4 then. That's terrible. Okay, so number 5. You've got... Actually, what does it say? So one of the very best reasons to join Legion of Night, however, yeah, because that's a shit one, is the chance to fight alongside the man himself. I'm never going to have to learn how to pronounce that. That's fantastic. So, your boss is always there when you need him. No, not a Manfred. So, I like the Callus Neferata, who's so busy with her own plans, she doesn't even notice her subordinates. Manfred has always got an eye on you. If you're ever in a pinch, he's quick to come to your aid, even if he has to take some time out of his busy schedule to fit you in. So the Mortarch of Night. So at the start of the combat phase, this model is within 3 inches of an enemy unit. You can remove this model from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from enemy units. So that's like how they mentioned, I think it was the first article where they said that he could teleport around. So yeah, I mean, we've got an answer there. Yeah, it's at the start of the combat. Oh yeah, okay, that's actually pretty good because at the start of the combat phase, it doesn't have to be your combat phase. Can be your opponent. So it's like, actually, Manfred's about to die. Teleport him out. And if your opponent has, you know, like if they're thinking like, oh, I've really got to. It's an interesting one because they're going to then have to really decide what damage they're going to be doing to Manfred, because it's going to be from shooting or something like that to try and get him down, because they won't be able to go, right, he's on his last legs, I'm going to charge into him and finish him off in this combat round, because he'll just teleport out. And if Manfred's like what he's normally like, he could probably heal, but then again he has to heal by killing things in combat currently, so we'll have to see with that one from his Feaster of Souls ability from a Shigaroth, but he could do spells and stuff to heal presumably. So yeah, I like that ability. It has to be 9 inches away from an enemy unit, so be quite dictating where he can go and land, but he hasn't got a massive base, to be fair, so it shouldn't be too hard. So yeah, I like that ability. So it says your opponent will have to prepare for Manfred's arrival everywhere at once, giving you a massive psychological advantage, because how I look at Manfred at the moment is he is a buff piece. If they make him really, really good, I don't even care if they make him like 480 points or something, but let's say he's got 14 wounds, he's really fighty, that'd be awesome. I much prefer that than like the soft beanbag he is at the moment, basically, with most of the Mortarchs. So it says, if you're convinced that the Legion of Night is the one for you, you can order Manfred von Carstien right now and get him ready to lead his troops to victory. The new Soulblight Gravelord goodies will be up for pre-order this weekend, including the battle tome and loads of new units to raise your army. It says check back tomorrow for a look at his most bitter rival. Neferata, that's the one I'm going to care about. I will be doing a video best I can. It probably will be a bit later, probably in the evening or something tomorrow, because I will be out, I reckon, at the time they put this article up. But I will do it as soon as I can, because Neferata, like I said, is a favourite character, and it will be great to see what she can do. It then says, this claim is not verified by anyone outside the Legion of Night and is broadly disputed by all the other vampire dynasties, as well as every other faction in the entirety of Grand Line's death. This claim is not verified by anyone in the Legion of Night and broadly disputed by the... Okay, just like repeated 3 times. But anyway, so that is actually the last article we're going to go through. And I understand this video is... I'm going to reckon this video is gone for about an hour. Like, it feels like it's gone on for about an hour. It feels like 3 articles was maybe too much to do in one video. It 100% was too much to do, but like I said, I wanted to get some other content out to you guys as well, rather than just doing news all the time, basically. So that's why I did that. And above anything else, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video today. If you did, remember to smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell notification. What those 3 easy clicks will allow you to do is by liking the video, it'll show me that you enjoy this stuff, so you enjoy the news, or in specifically the Soulblight Gravelords, and it will encourage me to do more like topics and videos on it. And then if you continue to like the video, it will mean that YouTube will see this video and go, oh, people are enjoying it, let's try and recommend it to people, which is fantastic. By subscribing to the channel, that's how the channel grows and how it allows me to be able to do more better and exciting content all the time. And then by clicking the bell notification, it means that you'll never miss any of my future videos. So if you're enjoying any of my series at the moment, or particularly with this, Soulblight Gravelords, and you're really interested to hear my thoughts on Soulblight Gravelords for tomorrow's article and Friday's article, and when I review a lot more Soulblight Gravelords, because obviously we've got Saturday with all the War Scrolls stuff coming out, so I will be doing a review on that when I can, as soon as possible. And you're interested in all that, click the bell button, it means you won't miss it. If you've got any questions or anything like that, put it in the comments down below. I'll be happy to answer you best I can. And anything that you think I've missed or something in these sort of like articles, or anything you disagree with, or just generally your thoughts on what we've learned here in these articles, let me know that in the comments down below. It will be great to read that and hear what you guys think. And then what I also want to say as well is a massive shout out to my patrons and YouTube members, who, because of these amazing people, I'm able to keep up this content to try and help get you and everyone who's interested in Warhammer into Age of Sigmar, and to continue your Age of Sigmar journey. So if you would like to become one of these beautiful people, all you have to do is click the join button next to the subscribe button that will allow you to become a member here on Agent Nagash, which means that you can give anything from just £1 a month to the channel, and you can go to a link to my Patreon at the bottom, well, at the top of the description down below, click the link, take to my Patreon, you give anything from just $1 a month, and that goes straight towards keeping this channel going. As I always say here, that, you know, the money you get from YouTube or even patrons and YouTube members, it doesn't nearly cover the costs of, you know, financially, resource, and also just mainly time of running and creating a YouTube channel. But what these amazing people allow me to do is justify all the time, effort and resources I put into this channel, because I know if these people are willing to support me on this personal level, then that means that I'm able to keep this up. But like I say, if I didn't have them, wouldn't be able to do this. So if you'd like to become one of these amazing people, click the join button or go to the link in my Patreon down below, and I'll be eternally grateful for your support. But going on with this, so my Vampire Lords on Zombie Dragon. So this is going to be to Stuart F and Filq, who are my biggest supporters on Age of Nagash. So thank you so much for supporting the channel at that amount. It's going to make a huge difference. I really am thankful for that, and I don't really know what else to say apart from to give you a shout out in every video, because you do deserve it. And then my Morgasts, which is going to be Bleed Red. So thank you so much as well for your continued support, because you've been supporting me as a Morgast for a long time now. And then my Vampires, which is going to be Mir, Martin S, Rouse321, David A, Ronni H, SpareBear, Christopher H, Northdrop, Nathan F, and Stence. Thank you so much for your continued support as Vampires as well. And then my Necromancers, which is Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Dice Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Quad, Cranky Wombat, Christopher C, Christopher F, James S, Robin S, Steve T, James T, Patrick F, JJ, Thomas S, and Thomas B, sorry. And then we've got R Christopher as well, who is a brand new YouTube member. So thank you so much, our Christopher, for deciding to become a member here on Age of Nagash. You won't regret it, and it's going to go all straight towards keeping this channel going. So thank you and everyone else for your continued support. And like I say, you guys are the reason why I can do this. So I really can't thank you enough. So if you'd like to become one of these amazing people, like I say, join or link to my Patreon. But if you can't do that and you do enjoy the videos, all I do ask is you click the like, subscribe, and bell notification. I know a lot of you people have been doing that lately. It's absolutely free. I really do appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it really does help out the channel. And if you know anyone who you think would enjoy this video as well, feel free to share it with them. And we have got a link to my Discord in the description of this video, where if you click that link, it will take you to my Discord, where you can join the conversation, which at the moment is pretty much exclusively all about Soulblight Gravelords. So if you're enjoying this topic, definitely go check that out. But more importantly than anything else, I'm just glad that you came and watched this video today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember, until next time, to stay safe, stay hygienic, wear a mask, and for God's sake, wash your hands. So by the time the Soulblight Gravelords comes out, it means that you can actually use them on the tabletop in real life. Wouldn't that be awesome? But beyond all of that, more importantly, is remember until next time, that Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.